Good Thursday morning. Here we are on this early February day, the 6th of February, and we are looking at some pretty interesting weather across the country and really around the world. We've got a couple international stories we're going to get to as well. My name is Craig Moeller. I am a certified meteorologist at 13 News Now in Norfolk, Virginia. That's where the studios are based. But again, this program, the Weather Desk, covers today's top weather headlines, and not just here in Hampton Roads. It's covering what's going on nationally and even globally. So if you are a weather enthusiast, we're so glad you found us here for the Weather Desk. Let's talk about our headlines and what we have today. Big storm for the eastern U.S. We're going to talk about this. I actually placed a phone call to the National Weather Service office in Wakefield, Virginia. That services much of eastern Virginia and into northeast North Carolina. And our lightning detection has been blowing up here in the southeast. I said, is this all legitimate? Is this all, and they said, absolutely. We've been hearing some thunder here as well. So a lot of lightning, kind of surprising with the temperatures being as cold as they are. Thought maybe there's some sleet pellets or something aloft in the atmosphere that was creating a greater charge separation and really triggering all of this lightning. It's been pretty amazing. Things are rumbling as they are moving towards the coast. And then other parts of the eastern U.S. dealing with freezing rain and ice. There have been weather advisories, a lot to break down with that. And then we're going to take you out to the West Coast for a rain update. Yesterday we were talking about record rainfall in the San Francisco Bay Area. They had that the previous day. Yesterday, it was L.A. that was dealing with it, and these are areas that were hit so hard by those wildfires. So we'll update you on what's happening on the West Coast. And then we're going to take a look at our global temperature update. We just got a new update on the January global temperature situation. The European Center for Meteorology and Weather Forecasting, they put that together, and we're going to have an update on that. And then a really wild story out of a part of Japan that has seen record snowfall. So a lot going on there. We're going to come back to Hampton Roads and track the showers and the thunderstorms that are occurring across our region. So a lot to get to. We're going to start off with this big East Coast and eastern U.S. storm system. Now you see these areas shaded in purple. These are areas with ice storm warnings. So you take a look here. We've got this little sliver along the Blue Ridge, and then I'm going to talk some more about this stuff off to the north. The areas in the light purple shaded here, and this is up to the D.C. area under winter weather advisory. So we've seen some mixing up that way. It's been a rain event for the 13 News Now viewing area, that's southeastern Virginia down into northeast North Carolina. But to the north, we've had the winter mix and even some ice south of Luray. So we take a look at the areas off to the north there. You head up towards Hagerstown and back all the way up through Pennsylvania, and that ice storm warning still in place up to we're looking at College Station, areas out to the west of that, up to Puxatawney. They've been dealing with this wintry mix and a coating of ice up that way. Beyond that, as you look up through the major cities in the Northeast, from Philly to New York, back through Boston, you think about Hartford, some of these areas, Manchester, and you get up into Burlington, all of New York State really under this winter weather advisory. So a lot going on. Snow up that way. You take a look back across Kentucky, same storm system here. There's a tornado watch, and we've had several warnings going on there as well. So we'll take a look here. I'm going to step out and manipulate the map a little bit. So let's take that full. And as we do, we're going to take a look and show you a closer look at some of this wild weather that's been occurring. We'll start with some of the snow, and you can see New York City been dealing with the snow up through Long Island, areas to the north, up around Bridgeport. It's been a snowy start to the day. I'll zoom in and take a closer look here at New York City, and you can see a transition more recently to rain. It looks like down around Wall Street and the lower Manhattan, seeing the rain. As we were looking a little bit earlier up through Manhattan, there was earlier some snow and mix. Let's head up towards Boston. You can see snow around Cape Cod and up to Boston. I mentioned Manchester a little earlier. They're on the edge of some snow. Come back south. Philly has been seeing wintry precipitation more recently. Now it looks like they're seeing a transition back over to rain. We'll zoom back in and show you again, some of that mix just out there across central parts of Pennsylvania. We just got word from our producer. We had a live shot that was going to come in, but we're tapping into some of our sister stations and other properties across our Tegna company, and it's amazing how many different properties we have that we can access, but they just switched up one of our sources. So we're going to continue to monitor that. Back across Harrisburg, you can see some mix and possibly some icing going on there. I mentioned around Hagerstown, back over towards Cumberland in West Virginia there, and then down into West Virginia, we've had some mix and some freezing rain earlier. Right now, it looks like it's largely transitioning back over to rain. Now, for Hampton Roads, again, it has been rain, but I want to take a look again before we kind of switch back over this way. I want to take you out to the central part of Kentucky. We had the tornado watch. I'll stop this here and show you the line. And before we do that, let's take a little closer look at a couple of the warnings that are still out there. So, as you can see, there's now thunderstorm warning south of Somerset, between Girdler and Burning Springs, just north of Viper there, and around Pikeville. And when we take a look here, we can see some of the different things that are going on. Let's put on our warning. This is just an auto query here, just to give you some of the towns here. And this is all radar indicated. There's been some hail there. I mentioned there's another one here just off to the north of Hazard. And you can see back towards Big Creek, we've had some severe thunderstorm warnings. This has largely been for some larger hail associated with this. And this makes sense when you think about this time of year. There's some colder air aloft. You get enough convection and enough upward mobility with some of these storms, and they are going to have the potential to produce some larger hail. We could also see back towards Tateville another severe thunderstorm warning. So a lot going on here across portions of Kentucky. In addition to that, there are flood warnings, and we'll zoom in around Moorhead. Again, this is between Lexington and say right around Grayson and Huntington into West Virginia. If you travel 64, you know this area well. Flash flood warnings are out as there have been very heavy rains in that area. Now, heading through West Virginia, you get to Charleston, that area. Again, flood warnings there along the Kanawha and the you see for Clay along the river there. And then as we come into Charleston, that whole area, again, you jump on the turnpike there, you're going to be dealing with flash flooding, very heavy rain earlier. Now, I mentioned here in Virginia, we've also had some flood advisories, and this area right now just out there, 64 around Lewisburg and back out to some of these areas. It's mountainous, and you get the flood advisory, very quick runoff situations can develop. And this is around the Greenbrier. You think about that famous resort out in the western part of the Commonwealth and into that area around West Virginia. You've got this potential for the flooding rain. So this is what's been going on. We'll continue to watch that. Again, earlier there were tornado warnings. Fortunately, we have seen those now just get downgraded to thunderstorm warnings. Still dangerous, but again, earlier there were a couple tornado warnings across portions of Kentucky. Now, as we take a look here in Virginia, we're also looking at the lightning, and I'll just put a quick query on this. I want to see just how much we've been talking about in terms of the lightning strikes. So we'll just draw a box here around Newport News. Recently, we've seen 29 strikes here in the last 20 minutes or so. There was a lot more at times, clusters really firing up. So there is some convection going on. Again, no snow or anything like that, but we are dealing with the rough weather here. Now, back along the west coast,
Yeah, I mean, it's very fresh, like it just happened, so
Across northern parts of California, this was Tuesday, okay? Heavy rain there, but I want to draw your attention to the rain as it's been falling in Southern California. So you see this feed here, this moisture started to come in, and while they got relief up there, there was persistent rain in LA, and this comes at a terrible time. Obviously, these rainstorms out west, they come right after families moved back into the area from those devastating wildfires. People can't begin to rebuild if they're now worried about mudslides and uprooted trees. Sid Garcia from ABC's Los Angeles shows us more of the weather impacts on those burn areas.
K-rails have been strategically placed to keep mud and debris flow from causing any more problems in the Eaton fire burn area. These green socks, that's what they're called, have been placed near storm drains to filter the mud and debris flow. The director of LA County Public Works is asking people to be vigilant during this rain event over the next couple of days.
And as I said, this will impact the stability. It'll incrementally impact the stability of an already unstable condition. I would continue to recommend that residents that live in burn areas shelter in place when it rains, that you prepare to be in your home when it's raining if you live in one of the burn scar areas in LA County, Palisades or Eaton Fire area.
More than 6,400 property owners have applied to the county to have the debris removed from their burned out homes and businesses. Ken Nichols is among the many whose home was spared in the Eaton fire. He says it's been frustrating just trying to get the process started to rebuild and repair his neighborhood.
We hear from the Army Corps of Engineers the amount of time it's going to take to clean this area, the foundations and the rubble from all the adjacent homes, as well as challenges with who's going to insure this house if we are to stay here and have it remediated and cleaned up and moved back in.
One silver lining coming out of the Eaton fire, the trees that survive. UCLA professor and landscape architect Stephanie Landrigan has been taking inventory of the trees.
They have very deep root systems, and they hold this soil in place. It's essential on our hillside community to have roots. They are the stabilizing component of all of our hillside communities.
So many difficulties right now for the folks in Southern California, and we continue to monitor that. Now, with all of this going on, we're talking about these areas that have been affected by the wildfires. It really shows the importance of listening to and following emergency evacuation orders. ABC's Alex Stones reports he has more from the fire zones.
It could be a wildfire or the mudslides that always seem to follow, or depending on where you live, an earthquake, tornado, flood, hurricane, or something more man-made like a terrorist attack. When seconds count and the need to get away from danger comes without warning and without time to pack up.
It's important to be prepared no matter where you are. Make a plan with your family and make sure that everyone is aware of that plan.
The recent wildfires are the latest example of the often unexpected need for quick evacuation and why first responders say everyone needs to have a go bag ready to grab and leave, with things like food, water, and extra medication already packed.
Every family is so unique and everyone has their own needs, and so it's important to consider that and tailor your go bag. If you have young children, you might want to include a special toy or an activity to keep them preoccupied if you have to be away from home for a long time.
You might also want something like a straw that filters water, not knowing if there will be running clean water during an emergency, and a flashlight for dark nights without power. And have a list of anything else to bring with you that's not in your go bag, like chargers for cell phones and important documents like IDs and birth certificates for children in waterproof covers.
I think it takes a conscious effort to be ready all the time.
Art Dela Cruz is CEO of veteran-led humanitarian aid group Team Rubicon. He says it can be a change in mindset, that it's about always being ready.
At some point in time, a disaster may strike you. These little elements of preparedness, from having, your car full of gas to having, the right things in your refrigerator or in storage, or even something as simple as having a plan, all of these things become really, really important in that moment of crisis. And we've seen it in places here like Los Angeles.
These are evacuees who haven't been home in weeks. They're lining up to get an escort in, to only go in for a couple of minutes and to get what they can and get back out.
We talked to one gentleman who said all of this is surreal.
And no time to get in and get everything out.
When you were able to go in, were you able to grab a few things?
Yeah, valuables, pictures, some clothes, limited. Everything's very smoke damaged.
It can be helpful to make a home inventory before an emergency in case you have to replace possessions after one. California, the latest example of the need to be ready.
Put yourself in a position where you say, I'm glad I did instead of I wish I had.
Alex Stone, ABC News, Malibu, California.
Now, here on the East Coast and down through the Southeast and the Gulf Coast region, we always harp on having that plan together leading into the hurricane season. But you can see it is a good idea to have a plan year-round for your family. Always be ready. There are so many different things that can come up, and just an ounce of preparation will save you pounds of trouble later. Trust me on that. That's important. So think about that. If you don't have a family plan, there are great resources available online. The Red Cross has full emergency checklists and different plans that you can have for different situations. FEMA has some outstanding, resources for you to access as well. You definitely want to look into that. All right, now I want to show you, this is the brand new updated U.S. drought monitor, and it's significant that I show you this, and I start in California because when you talk about drought, this is longer term impacts, okay? And you'll notice LA, you said, well, Craig, we just saw a story on the concerns with the flooding rain and the heavy rain that they saw up in San Francisco. They're actually doing a little bit better on precip up there. They had record rainfall yesterday. But for LA, you can be in drought, have like a flash flooding event. It's a very temporary thing where maybe you get a lot of rain quickly and the ground there is so parched that it can't really handle it. Then you throw in the fact that there's been all of the scorching of the earth from the wildfire, and it even exacerbates that issue. But you have this ground that is very, very dry. You get rain on it, it runs off quickly. That's why there were so many concerns out there in California with that heavy rain. Still, severe drought continues from LA through San Diego, all the way out through Phoenix, back up towards Vegas. They have extreme to exceptional drought just off to the northeast there. Fresno has moderate drought, but I did want to update you on this brand new drought monitor just released this morning. Notice West Texas from El Paso back into areas basically just west of the Panhandle and the southern parts of Texas. Extreme to exceptional drought there. Across portions of Tennessee, they're in extreme drought. And we also have, I think, a little bit more of New Jersey in extreme drought. For Hampton Roads and the East Coast, for the area around that we serve here at 13 News Now, I wanted to zoom in. I know we've got a lot of viewers that check in with us here. This updated drought monitor is still showing moderate drought, and there's still severe drought for the Middle Peninsula, the Northern Neck, and the Eastern Shore, south of the Albemarle Bay, or Albemarle. We do have that area, the Sound. Chesapeake Bay, Albemarle Sound. South of the Sound, they do have that severe drought as well. So that's what we're looking at in terms of the drought conditions. Now, I want to talk to you about the temperatures here. And we're going to look back. If you were here in, well, most of the eastern U.S., it was so incredibly cold. We're into February. Things are a little bit warmer, honestly, to start February, and we're going to look ahead. Let's take this full because I want to talk to you about the cold conditions we had back through January and the fact that we got more snow this January than we've seen in more than 1,000 days. It was so long and so cold through that month. But you might be wondering, worldwide, how did January shape up? January actually set another monthly heat record. So again, eastern U.S. and certainly our area here in Hampton Roads, it was cold. But the announcement came from Copernicus, which is the climate branch of the European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecasts. And according to Copernicus, January 2025 was more than 3 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than before the industrial times. The biggest driver of the record heat, greenhouse buildup, the greenhouse gas buildup, but weather patterns also playing a role. An El Nino pattern tends to lead to warmer global temperatures. What's interesting is that we were in a substantial El Nino until June of last year. Now we are in a La Nina, and La Nina tends to dampen the effects of global warming. According to NOAA, again, we've been in this La Nina, and they've monitored the ENSO, that's the El Nino Southern Oscillation, but we've been in the La Nina phase of the ENSO. Started in January, it's expected to persist at least through the next month, and the odds are better that this La Nina is going to hang probably February into April, with a transition probably March, April, back to a neutral state. So we're going to continue to watch that. So I want to take you now over to Japan and show you some crazy video from overseas in Japan. This is on the northern island of Hokkaido. Heavy snow fell at a famous Japanese resort, so much that they had a hard time getting back to their hotels at the resorts. The lines for the cable car were so long, people started climbing the slopes to get back to shelter. But this mountainside snow isn't even the craziest part. According to the Japanese Meteorological Society, one city in northern Japan got a record-breaking 129 centimeters. That's about 4 feet of snow in just 12 hours. So think about that, just over 4 feet in that short amount of time. The island nation is expecting snow to last through tonight. So it's really, really been interesting across the world when you look about it. Record warmth for January, as we take a look, some parts of the world, Hampton Roads, we've had the freakish snow. They had freakish snow in Japan, a lot of variability, and it is something we continue to watch. Now, going forward in time, we've got more variability with our temperatures. They're going to be going back up this afternoon, and tomorrow temperatures are going to be near 60. Our normal high is 52 here in Hampton Roads. As we look forward to the weekend, Saturday, we're going to be back in the mid-40s. Then we're going to go back in the upper 60s on Sunday. So you can never really get too used to anything around here with these temperatures going. We went from 74 last Tuesday to 44 yesterday. So just like that, these crazy temperature swings, more of that in the coming week. You can see it as we take a look. I also want to mention we're getting a lot of precipitation now this morning with the rains coming through. We'll get back to the local situation here in a moment. Another chance for a few showers, but with the drier weather, it looks like we will enjoy some nicer conditions as well. All right, here's the forecast over the coming 9 hours for Hampton Roads. Temperatures eventually into the upper 50s. We've been stuck in the upper 30s to low 40s. That's part of the reason that lightning we were detecting was so bizarre. As you look out over the coming 10 days, temperatures up today and tomorrow, then down Saturday, then up Sunday, then another cold push Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We could see some winter weather in the mornings, especially to the north. Temperatures eventually kind of topping out a little bit above average the following weekend. All right, as we take a look at the 8 to 14-day temperature outlook, here you see again for the southeast U.S., temperatures will be getting warmer. So that's what's happening in terms of the temperatures and all of these really, really interesting swings. All right, I'm going to bring you back into our radar here and talk some more about the local forecast. Let's go ahead and take a look at the radar right now, and I'm going to bring you back to the heavier rain that we've seen across portions of southeast Virginia. And again, nothing severe here. I don't want you to think, okay, do we have severe storms? No, but we do have lightning. So if you are over parts of, say, the peninsula, I'm hearing it just over the studios here in downtown Norfolk. Let me turn this off so you can see the progression of the lightning and what's happening. We just had a strike that we could hear outside the studios in downtown Norfolk. The lightning continues and is working across Chesapeake Bay. There's a Chesapeake Bay Bridge tunnel. But look at all of the strikes here within the last half an hour or so. A lot of lightning. All right, I'm going to turn back on the radar so you can see what's happening again. The reflectivity, and we're going to check the tops of this. I mean, we take a look at this, and we do have this. This thing is really interesting to see this much convection with the lightning. As I do a cross section, you'll notice the top still. The storm's building. The intense rainfall, 15 to 20,000 feet. We've seen some of the higher tops up around 30 to 40,000 feet. So this is a decent amount of convection for this time of year, especially given how cool the temperatures have been. It's really kind kind of an unusual thing to see. So as we continue to monitor this, I'm going to go ahead and clear that off. We'll take that out. Let's take a closer look at some more of the heavy rain working across Isle of Wight south of Smithfield, northern sections of Suffolk. You can see the downtown Norfolk area. Right now, Bayside and Virginia Beach dealing with a lot of heavy rain. Rainfall rates have been really coming down. Let's take a look at what we have for rainfall rate right in that area. Well, it's giving me a street location, but there's a rainfall rate, 1.66 inches per hour, according to the radar, and that's just south of Shore Drive. They're not too far from the Lesnar Bridge. So those areas dealing with very heavy amounts of rain in short order. Heavy rain right now around Cape Henry, and you can see Fort Story there. A lot of rain right there, north end of Virginia Beach. While you head down farther south past Dam Neck and the resort area, not much happening there. The bridge tunnels, I mentioned, heavy rain right now for the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, but you look at the HRBT, that's a Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel connecting Willoughby to Hampton, and there you've got moderate to heavy rain, and that's continuing. We also have heavy rain right now around the Monitor Merrimack and the James River Bridge. So a lot of rain, all of this moving along to the east. Let's put this in motion so you can see the development over the last 3 hours. No surprise, we thought we would get the rain, but the fact that we're getting the lightning that we've seen, and it doesn't have to be severe, obviously, to be dangerous. So again, if you hear thunder, we want you to stay indoors. Don't go outside. Obviously not a good time to go for a run. Even if you're just south of some of these cells with the dangerous lightning, you still don't want to take chances. Remember, lightning is occurring here, but lightning can come off of thunderstorms and, reach out 10, sometimes even 15 miles outside of a thundercloud. You could have a crazy bolt of lightning. Doesn't happen a lot, but it can happen where you can get that. So again, if you hear thunder and it sounds like it's off in the distance, or if you see lightning, don't take any chances. Just stay inside. That's important. All right, so you see this is moving along now. Eventually, it is going to move out. We're going to talk some more about the forecast and get into the future cast here. So why don't we take this full? I'll head over to the big board and give you guys a chance to see what we're looking at. Rain coming through this morning. It's going to wind down shortly afternoon. As we get into the afternoon, skies are going to be variably cloudy. And look at the winds. We've got a warm front lifting through the area. That's going to bring the winds around to the southwest, pushing temperatures in the upper 50s, close to 60 degrees. So a pretty good looking afternoon, really. Heading into the evening, skies are going to be partly cloudy. We'll take it. As we go overnight, though, I expect clouds to roll back in with some more showers pre-sunrise tomorrow. You'll notice as we get to, say, 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, that's going to be pulling away, and we will see some more sunshine tomorrow. I think Friday is going to be wonderful. Temperatures close to 60 in Norfolk, mid-60s for some inland areas, maybe even upper 60s down to the south. But the winds do shift around. Another cold front drops down fairly early in the day Friday, and that's going to bring in cooler conditions as we go late afternoon and into the evening. Now, Saturday, it's going to stay cooler. We've got the north winds and the east winds. You saw that precipitation coming by, mainly rain for us, maybe a little bit of mixed precipitation off to the north. Here's the forecast for Hampton Roads. Obviously, we're dealing with the rain and some thunderstorms, again, extending across parts of the metro. Upper 50s to near 60. That's where we're headed today. Upper 50s for the peninsula. Rain this morning, relief coming this afternoon. Rain to the eastern shore. Down along the Outer Banks, you've got some unsettled weather there potentially. I can still hear the thunder outside the studios. As we go along, again, relief coming this afternoon, drier weather, but stay mindful. And again, we'll talk about how you can access our radar so you know exactly what's going on in just a moment. Overnight tonight, 49, stray shower possible towards sunrise. Tomorrow, low risk of a morning shower, mainly, I think, before 6:30, 7 o'clock. And after that, 61, skies become partly to mostly sunny, so things are looking better. Now, as we look ahead to Saturday, we've got that chance for showers. We're going to see a mix off to the north. Looking ahead to Sunday, 65, partly sunny. I think some areas will be close to 70 on Sunday. It's going to be a great afternoon. Mix is possible as we go Monday into Tuesday and Wednesday. Right now, the models are showing mainly rain for Hampton Roads, but there is some mixing potentially off to the north. All right, now how to access our radar. Download our 13 News Now mobile app. That's the way to do it. You can access our radar anytime you want it on the go and know exactly what's happening. You'll also be in touch with our forecast and breaking news as well. All right, that's going to do it for today's edition of the Weather Desk. A lot to go over, a lot we're watching, and we will keep you informed. Join us every single morning, 9 o'clock East Coast. That's when we do them. Every Monday through Friday, it's the Weather Desk. Have a great day.